Good afternoon and welcome to beautiful Pickett, Wisconsin on this wonderful late summer day. It is September 11th, 2024. The temperature is probably 78 degrees. It's rather breezy, so hopefully you'll be able to hear everything fine. Today on the stand I've got an engine that was provided to me from Chris, and Chris has a YouTube channel, as you know if you watch the quick look video at this, called PerkyPlanes and RC. So this is Chris's Magnum XLS 46 ABC engine. Yet another engine I've never featured on the channel. I'm excited to run this thing. And the parameters for today's run are, I've got a standard 10.6 APC prop, and I'm using Morgan's CoolPower 10% fuel, and I installed a Fox Short RC plug. Is basically equivalent to an OS number 8 plug. The plug that came in your engine, Chris, was an idle bar plug, and it was really no good, so I wasn't going to use an idle bar plug anyway. So let's fire this thing up and see how this engine runs. I did preliminarily set up the carb, so I'm pretty confident that this thing's going to run. It's in fantastic shape. It's got really good compression. I think we're just going to have a fantastic run with this engine, so let's just do it. Alright, so I've got this high-speed needle set to about 2 full turns open from fully closed, and it looks like it's taken a prime really well. And yet again, I'm going to see if I can chicken stick this thing like I did with the Fitzpatrick engine. This might need a little bit more prime. Well, maybe I'm going to have to use the electric starter on it. I was hoping it would just fire right up, but let's go grab the electric starter and put that on there. Okay, we got the electric starter now. Let's give it a shot with that and see how that works. My electric starter nose cone is going to hold up. this thing is a little odd. I don't like these carbs where the high speed or the low speed needle is so recessed in there, because it's hard to tell when you're really on the screw. And I just want to make sure that with my hand at the end of this screw that I'm not in the way of the prop, because I was having to go in at an angle like this and I was having a hard time telling if I was really there or not. So let's fire this thing up again and see if we can keep tweaking on this thing. I wonder if it'll fire up with this now. I didn't realize I was going to be spending so much time tuning this thing. That's the other issue with some of these ASP Thunder Tiger carbs. They're just kind of not super good, and if you push in on this while you're trying to tune it, it'll kill the engine. So these carbs are less than ideal. They're probably the weakest point of these engines. You can see it runs really strong, but the carb is a weak point, and as it is, it didn't have the fuel tubing trick on it, which I put on here to keep it from at least leaking around here. But there's some side-to-side barrel movement that when I go and engage the screwdriver there, it's just not quite there. Okay, there you go. So here's the run of this Magnum XLS 46 ABC engine. Chris, it's a fine running engine. The weakest part of this engine is the carb. I mean, it's just the way it is. The carb is not an OS carb. It's not a Super Tiger carb. It's a generic carb. It doesn't even say Thunder Tiger nor ASP on it. It's just a carb. I think the engine itself is good. Maybe, I mean, this glow plug is a Fox short plug, which it looks identical, at least lengthwise and heat glowing range wise, the same as an OS number 8 plug. And I've used them in other engines and they're great plugs. So I do not believe that the weird transition thing that I'm seeing is plug related. I think it's carb related. I've got this thing 98% tuned in for you, dialed in. It was getting to the point where if I just jammed it really fast, it didn't like that. It would kind of bog a little bit. Maybe I could still sit there and tweak that, but I'm getting low on fuel and getting low on patience with this engine, with this carb anyway. A good carb wouldn't do that. But again, these super recessed idle speed screws are really hard to feel, because when I engage, it looks like I'm sitting there turning a lot. Most of the time I'm turning, I'm just trying to find the slot. And then once I feel that it engages in the slot, then I'm making little minute adjustments. But when you're seeing me do this, I'm just trying to find the slot because it's so recessed in there. But like I said, this engine is set up pretty damn well. It runs well. I can tell that there's a silencer or a baffle inside this exhaust. I'm not going to go through the trouble to remove this exhaust baffle and do anything like that. I think we saw that this engine turns at 10.6 prop well over 13,000 RPM. Now, I wouldn't tune it for 13,000 RPM like I had it on the ground if you're going to fly. You want to turn it, 800 or so, maybe 1,000 RPM less than peak on the ground, and then take it up so that you don't, overheat in flight. But I mean, this engine runs really well. It looks like it's a low time engine. It's got really good compression. It started, once it was run, I think it had been a long time since this engine had been run, and that's why I couldn't flip start it initially. And I can see where I slipped and dinged my prop a little bit here. But warm starts were a cinch with it. It was very easy to start warm, just a couple of flicks and that was it. So I mean, this is a good engine. It's just the carb, in my opinion, is just sucks. And that's just kind of the way some Thunder Tiger ASP carbs are. This is just, that was the one drawback to a lot of those engines, is the construction of the engines was really good, but the carbs were always suspect. Sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get one that's not so good. I was lucky with most of my ASP carbs. I had really good carbs on them. And you could probably find an ASP carb, drop it in here, or another carb and drop it in here, and it'll be better. But this carb is really kind of not so great in my opinion. But anyway, hope you enjoyed watching me tune this engine. And Chris, and those of you that stayed with this video for this long, please, if you enjoy these videos, please go to PerkyPlanesandRC.com, or the YouTube channel PerkyPlanes and RC, and hit that subscribe button for Chris, and let's get his subscriber count through the roof. Get him up to 1,000 subscribers so that he can start making money on these videos, and that would be a wonderful thing, a wonderful payback for him sending me this engine to let me evaluate it and run it. So let's do that, and you all have a wonderful day.